Okay, now we're recording. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Books in Bed, my interactive book club here on Ustream/YouTube, where I upload it later. We are currently reading Looking for Alaska by John Green. We just started it last week, so kicking it off with our second week. Today we are discussing pages 44 to 88. And it's now like starting to get juicy, you know. We've gotten our intros to our main characters. We know who everyone is that we're going to be like dealing with throughout this book. And yeah, things start to get juicy now. So let me open up to, of course, as always, I've got my notes, talking points. So let's see. So we kick it off, page 44. Did we leave it on a cliffhanger last time? I can't remember. 44. No, not really so much a cliffhanger, but anyways. So my first point is a question, and so you guys can answer in the chat, or if you're watching on YouTube, down in the comments below. Why do you think Pudge continues to pay for the Colonel's cigarettes, like, consistently? And then, so, like, I wrote that down because, like, right on, continuing on page 44, like, it's one of the first things they do. They go and, like, get cigarettes, and Pudge is just, it seems like he's always paying for them, and I find it kind of weird. But then just a few pages later, page 55, they are all hanging out, and the Colonel says, "Let's go smoke." And Pudge replies, "You're out of cigarettes, aren't you?" Or no, it's Alaska. I'm so confused. Where am I at? Okay, here's the quote I was looking for. So it's Pudge and Alaska hanging out, and they're like, "Oh, let's go smoke." So he fished a 5 out of his pocket, and Alaska handed me a pack of 20 Marlboro Lights. I knew I'd smoke maybe 5 of them, but so as long as I subsidized the Colonel's smoking, he couldn't really attack me for being another rich kid, a weekday warrior who just didn't happen to live in Birmingham. So, I don't know. I don't think that's like a legitimate reason for Pudge to need to support that cigarette habit. I just think that's weird. But maybe it's just me for thinking that it's weird. Definitely let me know in the comments of the chat if you think it's weird or you think that it's acceptable for him to support that habit of the Colonel. I think it's kind of odd. Oh my god, I forgot to write down the page number, but they're talking about, they go to a basketball game at the school, and there's this one player on the basketball game who's just like a huge stoner, and they say that all he cares about is basketball and weed and smoking pot. And there is this moment, I need to find it, because they have this example where he makes a homemade bong out of like 3 ridiculous items. And I really want to know how John Green decided on those 3 items to make this bong out of, because they're really random and hilarious. Damn it. Where is it? Oh, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to find this. I don't know. Whatever. It was like 3 super random items, and the kid put together to make a bong. And I think it was like a piece of fruit and something else. I can't remember. Let me know in the comments below. Let me see if I can see the chat on my phone. Young dill pickle. Is it a pickle? Did he make the bong out of a pickle? Was that it? So yay, I can see the chat from my phone. That's nice. So yeah, definitely if you guys are watching, be active in the chat. It's way more fun that way. It's what makes it an actual interactive book club. And then ditto, if you're watching it later, like in comments down below with YouTube, totally works that way as well. So yeah, I thought it was just, I was really shocked as a like daily smoker, medical marijuana patient myself, like I don't know. The moment of that book just surprised me, took me off guard, and I know that John Green is not a stoner smoker in any way, so I'm so curious, like, what his background was on that part of the book and where he got the inspiration for those, like, random 3 items to construct a homemade bong. It's very exciting. Again, at this basketball game, Pudge gets his first badass moment, and so that's kind of like a nice kicking off point for Pudge. You know, he's not just like the new kid anymore. He's actually like one of the Culver Creek kids. You know, he's just regular. I can't see the chat from far away, so I need to move it here. Okay, someone got here late. Oh, we are discussing Looking for Alaska by John Green. And we just started it last week, so we're only discussing pages 44 to 88 right now. But anyways, our main character, Pudge, gets his first badass moment, and you feel all good for him. We also find out that the Colonel has a streak of getting kicked out of the games, which is hilarious because of the way that he gets kicked out is just by being obnoxious, essentially. So that's always fun. And then after, like, I don't know, it's kind of like a monumental moment for sure. At the first basketball game. No, I'm not there yet. We're only talking about the first basketball game right now. Someone in the comments, you're getting eager. Yeah, there's like 2 major basketball game scenes that happen in this section of the book. And so, yeah, that first one's great. And then I have this note I actually write, John Green is such a great writer, exclamation point. Because it's like, as like whimsical and of a light read this is for me, because, I mean, compared to the other book we read, 1984, it was like super heavy. So let's see, I say page 49. There's this quote. Okay, so yes, it's like a nice, easy, breezy read, and it's all fun and dandy. But then John Green just, like, gets me with this one quote, and you're like, oh yeah, he's, like, actually legitimately a really awesome writer. And so it's right after the Colonel gets kicked out of the, yes, okay, so he's just gotten kicked out of the basketball game, and the Colonel ran ahead of me, gleeful at his ejection. I jogged after him, trailing in his wake. I wanted to be one of those people who have streaks to maintain, who scorch the ground with their intensity. And this is what the line that got me. But for now, at least I knew such people, and they needed me, just like comets needed tails. And so it's just like one of those moments where, like, oh yeah, I'm not just like breezily reading through this. Like, these words mean something, and they have a greater meaning. I don't know. It was a nice reading moment for me. So let me know in the chat or in the comments down below if you have had similar moments, like maybe not even with this book specifically, but I don't know, just when you're reading and it's not so easy breezy, it kind of just like catches you off guard. I don't know. It was nice. Let me see what's up with the chat. Yeah, the Christian school, that's who they played first. It was very ridiculous. Oh my god, I forgot to mention, I even put like double pluses so I would catch my attention. It would be the first thing that I would talk about before I got into this section of the book. Something that I totally forgot to mention when starting this book. The whole like format of Looking for Alaska is it's split in 2. It's split into 2 sections. So let's see. We started out and it says before, and then at page 133 after. Dun dun dun. So, I mean, I should have asked, like, before starting this book club and actually, like, reading it and discussing it, like, what do you think the before and after stands for? What do you think's going to happen? Now that we're like actually some pages into it, I definitely think that I know what's going to happen. Actually kind of curses in like doing a little bit of research on Looking for Alaska, like book clubby stuff. I got a little bit spoiled, I think. I like tried to avert my eyes as quickly as possible, but I got a little spoiled, so I'm pretty damn sure that I know what the before and after is referring to. Let me know down in the comments below what you think it refers to. I'm not going to say it out loud right now just because we're too early in the book. Like, it doesn't go to the after till page 133, and we're just ending this section at 88, so we've got a ways to go. I don't want to spoil it for you guys. Like, I got it spoiled for myself. It was like total one, like, accidental moment where you're like, click on a website and you go and start reading it, and then something just, it can't be unseen. You're like, no, like, don't let me see that. I did not read that. And you avert as quickly as possible, but damage is done. Damage is done. So I think I know what's going to happen. It's a little disappointing knowing and then not having it be like a genuine reading moment. We're like, oh my god, this is what's happening in the moment. But, you know, I'm still enjoying this book. I definitely really like it a lot. It's definitely, I feel like I'm impressed more than I thought I would be. But let's see. Okay, so my next talking point says that Alaska has two quotes that stand out on page 52 and page 54, and I think that they mean something more. Like, they're kind of just like an outstanding quote on its own, but I think it has a deeper meaning. So, what did I say, page 52? Because they're like at the end of little subsections. So that's the other like layout thing about this book. I kind of like it more than like actual like numbered chapters. The way that it's split up is, so it's split up by before and after, and then instead of doing like numbered chapters, it has days before and then days after. So at like the end of each little chapter thing, Alaska repeatedly keeps having these lines that, I don't know, they just seem way more meaningful than what, like, the context of the actual conversation is. So the first one that's on page 52 that, like, initially caught my eye was, Alaska swallowed a mouthful of french fries, took a drag on her cigarette, and blew smoke across the table at Hank. I may die young, she said, but at least I'll die smart. Now back to tangents. And so, I don't know, that just, it caught my eye, and it was like kind of a nonchalant moment. They're studying for finals and whatnot. But I don't know, that quote just stuck out to me. And then this is when it was like, no, I think this means something more, because it happens again on page 56 when, I think, let's see, she's talking to Pudge, and he says, you're awfully philosophical for a girl that just got busted, I told her. And she replies, sometimes you lose a battle, but mischief always wins the war. And I don't know, I just feel like that is going to mean something down the line where we're reading the rest of this book. Mischief is going to win the war. Like, we already know she's all about pranks, so it's just crazy. And then I'm pretty... Oh, I missed one. Okay, so it actually happens 3 times total. It happens like every 2 pages for a while. Oh wait, no, I skipped the first one. No. Okay, 52. Maybe I wrote down the pages wrong. I did. Huh. I totally just confused myself. So that was the second quote. Okay, maybe it does. Okay, so in my notes, I make it seem like it happens 3 times, but I'm pretty sure it only happens twice. But still, regardless, let's see what's going on in the chat. Okay. So yeah, it happens twice, and I have this feeling in my gut when you're just like, you're reading and you like stop reading and you're like, you think for a minute, you know, like the book makes you think. And that's the whole point of reading, really. It should make you think. So yeah, that happens, but then we actually get back to the whole story. The four like main friends, it's Pudge, the Colonel, Alaska, and how do you pronounce his name? It's like Taksumi or something, Taksumi. Can't remember what his name is. The four of them, they're like down at the smoking hole, and they get caught by the Eagle, and then they have to go to court, which is like 12 student jury thing, and then the Eagle is like the judge. Only the Colonel and Alaska get actual punishments because they were the ones like actually caught physically smoking, whereas Pudge was just watching them smoke, so it's not technically against the rules, so he doesn't get in trouble. But then we find out just like a few pages later that that like the whole there's a deeper meaning between just Alaska and the Colonel getting caught, and they kind of just like take it and they don't even really say anything about it. They just take their punishment, but with knowing who they are, you would think that they would kind of make a big deal and try and fight it or something. But they just take it, and then later you find out its deeper meaning is like it's meant to be an example for Pudge, and they're all about like not ratting each other out, and so it's totally an example for Pudge. It's like, this is going to happen again, and this is how you need to act, because next time it's going to be you that's going to get in trouble, and you need to stick up for us. So someone said something in the chat. No, I'm just laying in bed, chilling right now, and that's all that matters. Replying to the chat. So, yeah, there's this whole thing with the court, and you're like, yeah, it's this great example for Pudge on how to not rat, and then kind of like a bomb is dropped on us, and we find out that Alaska is the one who ratted out on Myra and Paul. Oh my god, it was like a huge deal in the last like subsection that we were reading about who was the one that ratted them out. This whole like prank war is based on fucking who ratted them out, and we find out that it was Alaska. And you make such a good point that you never suspect friends. Like, of course not. They always suspected that it was going to be the Weekday Warriors. That's who did it. But let's see, someone in the chat, let me know what his name is. Takumi, that's what it is. Thank you guys. This is why I love that it's interactive, because if I'm like not getting something right, someone in the chat can save me. So yes, Takumi, he's actually the one that figured it out, that Alaska ratted out Myra and Paul, and then it's like confirmed because she admits it to him and is like, yeah, I did it. So what actually happens is that Alaska gets caught driving. She's like sneaking off campus, and she's got wine in her car. So she's essentially fucked. She's in so much trouble. And apparently how it really works at this school is when you're caught by the Eagle and you're caught really, really harshly, you have an option. You can stay strong and like try and not rat and like take your punishment, or you can rat someone else out if they have like a juicier story, and then you're scot-free, essentially. So that is what Alaska did. She was like, yeah, I got caught like driving off campus or whatever, but there's like the triple threat that Myra and Paul were doing at that same moment, so she ratted him out. And you're like, what? Wasn't really expecting that from her, to be honest. Like, it didn't seem a part of her character. But then again, she's super unpredictable, so you never know with characters like that. Like, you really never fucking know. What else do I say about that? That's pretty much it. So, moving on. Alaska totally gets pranked by the Weekday Warriors. They like divert a hose from the gutter into her bedroom, and it totally floods her room, and it ruins a bunch of her books, and she's all pissed. So now she's like really in it for the Weekday Warriors, and she's gonna get them back. We know it. She's gonna plan something huge. So then, kind of random, I didn't expect this at all. Alaska invites Pudge to stay at Culver Creek over Thanksgiving break because just it happens that her boyfriend is busy at that time and didn't want to be distracted by her or something. I don't know if that was just him being weird or if it was a legitimate excuse. But yeah, she's like, hey, you should stay on campus with me, like usually I'm alone and blah blah blah. Someone saying in the chat. I don't know what you're talking about. So, I don't know, I thought it was really weird and why she really wants him to stay there. He agrees, and at this point, he's, honestly, I think that he's still flip-flopping with his feelings for her, because, like, she does have this boyfriend, and then she's flirting with him, and then at other times, she's, like, standoffish, and it's like, no, like, don't hit on me, or all this other weird, like, weird stuff. I don't know. She's like, they're both super flip-floppy with each other. It's kind of awkward. But regardless, he does stay for the Thanksgiving break, and another talking point is at some like random point when they're just like talking and being with each other or whatever, she reveals that the labyrinth isn't life or death, and that it's suffering. And I feel like in the last episode of Books in Bed, when we were discussing pages 1 to 44, and when she first brings up the labyrinth, we're discussing what it was, and I remember saying something about it being like a combination of both, and it's like life and death. So I was like kind of half right-ish. I was like I was on the pathway to being right, you know. I was getting there. So I definitely understand what like that deeper meaning is with suffering, and like it's the one thing that all three of those major religions have in common, that they are studying in that one religion class, like Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. That's the one thing that they can like all agree upon, and that's like the existence of suffering. So I don't know, that was kind of a powerful moment. What's going on in the chat? Pretty genius prank. I definitely thought it was a pretty genius prank, the whole like diverting the hose from the gutter, but it's so mean because it ruined her books, and like that's really something that like can't be fixed. You're not going to go out and instantly buy all those books again, and like she had rare books or whatever, like meaning, like books that have meaning, you know, they're like sentimental value or whatever. So well, I don't know, it was awkward. Because at the same time, like, yes, you think that it's kind of like the characters in the book have the same reaction that you as the reader have. You think that it's a good prank, and you're like, oh yeah, it's a good prank. But then at the same time, you're like friends with Alaska, and you feel bad for her that this prank happened. So yes, my next talking point was that it's something we've already talked about. Alaska's planning her prank on the Weekday Warriors since they flooded her room, and she is like taking full advantage of having the Culver Creek campus completely empty, essentially, because it's like the Weekday Warriors, that's like the part of their deal is they go home on the weekends, so she could have that time anyways, but this is like a full week chunk of time, and she's really, really, like, the wheels are turning in her brain. She's going to do something huge. I think it is hilarious when Alaska, let's see, we're on 24 minutes right now. I've got one last talking point, so we're just going to wrap it up. The last thing that happens in this chunk of like discussion for us, pages 44 to 88. I loved this part of the book. Alaska and Pudge go through everyone's stuff in the dorms. They like sneak through the windows and shimmy in and find everyone's everything. Like, they go and find their porn and their mattresses, and they find their hidden alcohol, and Alaska even drinks some of it, and Pudge is like, oh no, why are you doing that? And I love her response. It's like, what are they going to do? Go to the Eagle and be like, hey, someone drink my wine cooler. Like, no, you can't rat on someone for your illegal goods. It's just not going to happen. So they totally go hog wild and go through everyone's stuff. They finally actually find a porn video and go and watch it together in the TV room. You think that something's finally going to happen between them, but of course, no. Alaska is still flip-floppy and, like, standoffish. She admits, like, in one of her, like, she always, like, has these little quick rant-type sentences, and in one of them she does say, like, it sucks when you have, like, a cute guy, like, laying next to you or something and you have a boyfriend. Like, obviously she's talking about Pudge, and you kind of, like, are rooting for them all along. He wants something to happen. So, of course, it doesn't. I was kind of disappointed. I thought it was going to be the moment when it finally would. They were all alone. They were watching porn. Like, what other kind of perfect storm moment do you need between a guy and a girl for them to, like, actually finally hook up? Besides them, like, being alone, completely alone, watching porn. Like, you'd think that's what's going to happen. But, unfortunately not. Let's see, how does she even do it? It's so awkward. Because you want it to happen so bad. Oh, I guess it kind of is the porn that ruins it, because Alaska's so weird and, like, I don't know, she's, like, fiercely feminist, and so, as much as she was, like, yay, like, let's watch porn, then in the end of it, she's, like, saying that it's, like, derogatory towards women, like, you can't even see their face, and they can't kiss while they're fucking, and I don't know, it flip-flops again, and it just gets awkward for me. Like, I want her to just be, like, completely honest with her feelings. Oh, this is how she does it. It's so weird. Again, I don't, like, the second that I feel like I understand Alaska, I don't understand her at all. Because, like, again, we're finally in this moment, you think they're gonna hook up, she lays down on the couch, and he really wants to go lay down with her. She mumbles something, and he asks, like, what did you say? And she just responds, shh, I'm sleeping. Like, bitch, what did you say? You can't just mumble something. Like, what did you say? I want to know so bad. What did she say? Mumblers. Fucking mumblers. And then and then even Pudge goes, just like that, from 100 miles an hour to asleep in a nanosecond. So frustrating. So, yeah, I mean, even in that moment, like, Pudge is still sweet, and, like, he didn't want to even have sex with her in that moment. He just wanted to lay there and sleep with her and be sweet, because that's just how Pudge is, apparently. But I like the last sentence of this. So I walked back to my room and collapsed on the bottom bunk, thinking that if people were rain, I was drizzle, and she was a hurricane. Again, thank you, John Green, for, like, lovely literary moments like that, where I don't know, it's kind of a reminder of why I like reading so much, because there can be beautiful literary moments like that. Let's see what's going on with the chat. They got her prized possessions wet, so she has to hit them where it hurts. Oh yeah, I forgot to discuss that. Okay. We're going on 30 minutes, kind of where I like to cap it off, but whatever. We'll discuss one more thing, is Alaska's plan for her prank. for the weekday warriors, and that is to hit them where it really hurts. The one thing that they care about most is their hair and their hair products, and they leave them all at school because they have duplicates at home and they're rich, so it doesn't matter if they have, like, they don't have, like, one thing of gel that they always have to carry with them. Like, they love their hair so much. It's their #1 priority. It's really going to hit them where it hurts. I'm so excited. Like, one of the, like, things that she kind of just, like, drops on you is something about blue dye. So, like, she's going to dye all of their hair blue. I don't even know. We're going to find out next. Let me see. Shoot. Can't remember exactly what page we're reading till next. Shoot. I can't remember. Ah, crap. Okay, so unfortunately, I don't have it written down in front of me what next, like, section we're reading to. Obviously, it's starting on page 88 where we left off, and going, I'd say I cut it into about 45-page chunks. So somewhere around there. I will definitely post in the description below what it actually is, and then we'll be active all over social media letting you guys know what the actual section is going to be for next Sunday at 11 a.m. as always for Books in Bed. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Again, this has been Looking for Alaska by John Green. I've so been enjoying this, reading with you guys and discussing, and I'll see you guys next week. Let's see how I end this. I don't even know. Alright, bye!